Alright, so you just found out you have ick in your aquarium. If you've googled it, you know what it looks like. For those of us that don't know, it's a parasite. It kind of looks like white specks. It kind of looks like salt or sugar on the fish. Here's what it looks like on the black neons at work. I'm going to be talking through how I used Herbtana to cure them throughout this video, but first a few things. If you have a freshwater tank with no inverts and no loaches, go ahead and get yourself a bottle of the X and you save yourself from getting Herbtana. If you have a saltwater tank or a freshwater tank with inverts, go ahead and get yourself a bottle of the Herbtana. Those are the people who I'm addressing to right now.
The parasite's ability to feed. In most cases, the parasites will just drop off the fish. That's why we call it an expellant. It's not a true pesticide. It's not directly killing anything. But when you boost the fish's immune system and you interfere with the parasite's ability to feed, the parasites won't reattach to the fish. It's harder for them to reattach to the fish even if they want to, and eventually they starve to death in the water.
Alright, so it's not a true cure and more of an expellant. What does that mean? Essentially, it means that it's not going to be acting on the ick as much as it is going to be acting on the fish. For those of us that don't know, ick is present in all of our tanks all the time. It just depends if our fish gets really stressed, and that gives the ick an opportunity to latch on and feed. And once they drop, they multiply a lot more, and they're able to bring healthy fish down. This is what I do with every tank that I use Herbtana to treat at. Every morning I go in and I increase that temperature up by 2 degrees, up to, your fish's limits, and that's just up to you doing your own research and knowing when to stop. But typically it's not going to be any higher than 82 degrees. So I increase the temperature up by 2 degrees. That's step 1. Step 2 is getting a good gravel vac as much as possible, be it every single day, every other day, but it needs to be all the time, just so you can get most of the ick cyst out. Alright, going back to what I said in the beginning, the ick will feed, it'll drop, it'll reproduce, and it'll latch on again. So since our temperature is up, that's going to speed up their life cycle. Higher temps mean that their metabolism is higher, they'll feed more, and they'll reproduce more and go through that life cycle even faster. So once it drops, you get them out with the gravel vac, and boom, all of that is just now out of your tank, and the Herbtana is going to be there to make sure that it's a little more difficult for the ick to latch onto your fish again. And that's step 3, dosing. So increase the temperature, gravel vac as much as possible, and treat. And if you don't, again, it's the gravel vacuum that makes the biggest difference, and that's what's going to help you overcome anything. So this is what the neons looked like after 4 days of just repeated gravel vacs, temperature raising, and treatment. They already look a lot better, and they'll probably be ready to sell back in a week. And that's just me being cautious. I'm going to keep treating and keep doing that again before setting them up for sale, because I don't want anyone else's tank to get sick. But that's how we use Herbtana in the store. Alright, main takeaway of this video is saltwater, freshwater tank with inverts, use Herbtana. Freshwater tank without any inverts, ICX. Number 1, increase that temp up by 2 degrees every day. Do not increase it up by any more degrees. That would probably shock your fish. It has to be gradual. Change your temp. Gravel vac as much as possible. You cannot be lazy with this step. You have to do it. This is what's going to help get that ick out. And 3, dose, and dose appropriately. If you don't have any inverts or it's salt water, you can do a little more heavier on them. And if you do have shrimp or any other inverts, just stay true to what the label says. Alright, but essentially, if I had to give Herbtana like some amount of stars out of 5, I would probably give it a 4. Just because it gets the job done, but there's better stuff out there, and it just depends on whether you follow those 3 steps or whether you just use the Herbtana on its own. But yeah, 4 out of 5 would use